Hello, it is I. Firstly, I apologise for the background footage. I was practicing drifting with my new Thrustmaster TX wheel, so I'm sorry if I seem a little rusty with that. And secondly, I know what you guys are thinking. Forza Motorsport 7 isn't even confirmed, and if it was, then it'll be released in 2020 or later. Well, according to a little Jake XVX video I watched, they've hinted that the game is in the making, and they're going to take suggestions from us fans and content creators to make the game. Hence why I am making this video. So this is what we want in Forza Motorsport 8. Enjoy the video. So what new cars would you want in Motorsport 8? There's way too many that I mentioned in previous videos, which I will recommend you watch. But if I were to choose my top 5 cars that should be in Motorsport 8, it has to be the Aventador J. If a Venado and an Aventador had a baby, it'll be this thing. This Nürburgring record-setting monster is powered by a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 engine, pushing out a whopping 760 brake horsepower. Only 900 were ever made, making this car even more special, and let's face it, who wouldn't want to thrust this car around in Motorsport 8? Second car is the EG6 Civic. We haven't seen this car since Motorsport 4, and I don't see why. It's one of the most beautiful shapes for a Civic in my opinion, and it's perfect for tuners or even racers in Motorsport. It also comes with a rendered Rocket Bunny kit, which would be really interesting for this car, and we cannot forget the viral 9-second Civic video from Motorsport 4. That was crazy. Number 4, the Ferrari 488 Pista. I've seen 3 of these cars in Maranello. Absolutely stunning car. Sounds glorious and is pretty fast too. In fact, it produces an insane 711 brake horsepower from its twin-turbo 3.9 litre V8 engine, straight out of the factory as well. Now that's pretty impressive. Number 5, the Audi e-tron GT. Yes, it may be electric, but what else can I say? Just look at the thing. Looks glorious, plus it'll be pretty funny hearing the sound of this thing too, as Audi produced the sound of these electric cars from a computer and recording software. And another plus side of this thing is that the developers can easily and accurately recreate the sound of this car too. Finally, at number 5, the Formula Drift Ferrari 599. Who said supercars can't drift? This wide, crazy looking and insane sounding drift supercar is powered by the same heart it's born with, a 6 litre V12. However, this specific car is twin supercharged to produce a mind-boggling 917 brake horsepower. And what does that sound like? Yeah, pretty damn sexual is what it sounds like. So those are the cars I would like to see in the next game. Make sure to comment down below some new or existing cars you would like to see in the next game too. Who knows, your comment may very well be the reason why a certain car is added into the game, so make sure to jump into the comment section right after this video ends. New tracks. What new tracks would you want in the game too? Firstly, I think we need some old and existing Formula 1 tracks. If I could pick 3, it will be the Melbourne Grand Prix track, which you can push your car to the limits with. It's a very high speed track and would make for some intense racing. Secondly, Imola, as the track holds some heritage for some jaw-dropping moments and some intense racing. And the final Grand Prix track I would add is Monaco, as it's a very narrow track, beautiful scenery, and could cause for some proper mayhem online, which could be either very funny or pretty annoying. Either way, I think it's a great track for the game, especially known games such as Project Cars and Gran Turismo included it in their games. On top of Formula 1 tracks, I think we need to get the iconic Mercedes Ice track that's featured in Project Cars 2. This would hopefully be no problem for the developers, as they worked thoroughly on snow physics from the previous 2 Horizon games, so this shouldn't be much of a problem for playground games. Another track that could be interesting for the next Motorsport game is Goodwood. This is also a high-speed track with some interesting corners that can make up for some interesting racing in the franchise. Only problem being this isn't a closed circuit, so I'm not sure how Forza could implement this track into the game. Oh, and the Nardo test track is a must. We need that game in the Motorsport 8, definitely. Finally, I think Forza should develop some fictional track to add into the game, excluding the test track Airfield and Maple Valley. Although these tracks were really interesting, I think they should take a leaf out of Gran Turismo's book. Majority of tracks from Gran Turismo were fictional, and one of my all-time favourite tracks of the PlayStation franchise is Special Stage Route X. Instead of going to the Mulsanne straight on Circuit de la Sarthe to test your top speed, you could go to Route X instead. This track consists of 2 11km straights followed by a large 4km bank. It has elevation changes too, pushing your car past its actual top speed, which is even better. So I think Forza need to implement a track similar to Special Stage Route X into the next game. Racing suits. One thing I loved about Motorsport 7 is the fact that it was the start of character customization. You could change up your whole racing suit, become an astronaut, a ninja, or even a police officer. Not just that, but they even had a female character option for any women playing the game, which is really thoughtful of them, even though the majority of people who chose female avatars were hairy, sweaty virgins in their late 20s. Okay, that was very rude, I'm really sorry. One way they could improve this racing suit customization thing is by perhaps having separate clothes, so overalls from one suit and a helmet from the other, and perhaps changing up the gloves and boots too. And I know the reason why there are racing suits in this game is to stick to certain laws and show that you need to wear protection when racing, but only the helmet is mandatory when racing. So how about bringing clothes from Horizon 4 into Motorsport 8 and changing up your helmet separately? Even my genius shocks me, you know. So yeah, individual character customization will be pretty interesting and could really help personalize our avatars in the next game. The updates, what would we like in the next game? One thing they constantly update in new games is the HUD and the style of speedometer. I think the HUD needs a big update for the next game. Now here's something you may not know about me. I was a very big PlayStation fanboy before I moved to Xbox with my Horizon 2 game. This meant I owned every single Gran Turismo game up to 6, 5 and 4 Prologue, 3A spec, you name it, I owned it. One thing I adore about the Gran Turismo franchise from 4 onwards is their HUD layout. Nothing was unnecessary, everything you needed was neatly organized on the bottom, everything easy to read, and only the essentials were on the HUD. Gran Turismo 6 nailed it with a HUD, so instead of this ugly tilted arcade looking speedometer, I think Forza need to organize their HUD like how Gran Turismo did, as these little changes can shed seconds off your lap time. I know Forza have the digital speedometer option, but even that looks really strange. So yeah, I think Forza need to update their HUD layout. On top of that, there's something us players have been wanting since the Xbox One was announced. Forza need realistic crash physics too, not like BeamNG, but more like the old Motorsport games like Motorsport 4. Don't get me wrong, crash physics and damage on the new Motorsport 7 is really well done, but nothing can beat what was achieved in Motorsport 4. Bumpers could get torn off, headlights ripped out, glass shattered, absolutely menacing stuff. So Forza should really be thinking about going a couple years back with their crash physics, as the old stuff was absolutely brilliant. This may take a long time to update and improve, but I reckon the fans will absolutely love it. Just imagine seeing bumpers and wing mirrors flying around the track. Great stuff. So those are 2 updates I'd like to see in the next game, but I would like to point out some stuff that Forza have nailed, especially with their last game. The sound from Motorsport 7 was top-notch perfect. I love the mechanical feel of the car, the way the tachometer bobs up and down and upshifting or downshifting. The sense of speed was glorious, it actually made you feel like you were driving that fast in the game. Camera movement, lighting, graphics, frame rate, all of that was perfect. The game looked aesthetically pleasing, so well done to Forza and the developers of the team for that. Customization, what mods would we want in the game? Now there's only so much a new game can include, and if I were to list everything I wanted right now, we'll be sitting here for hours, so make sure to check out the video I made on customization I personally want in these games. So if I were to list down a couple mods I'd like in the next game, firstly I would like to say nitrous. Okay, calm down, not like Need for Speed Underground nitrous, just nitrous that gives the car a little boost which you can refill every now and then. Similar to Gran Turismo 6, they had nitrous which was pretty expensive but it worked a charm. Very realistic to actual nitrous, we don't see flames coming out the exhaust, but we do feel our car getting more powerful. Nothing exaggerated, just very realistic stuff. I know what you're thinking, nitrous in Forza sounds crazy, and the developers would never even think of including it, but they have included a form of nitrous in one of their previous games, Horizon 2 to be exact, with their Fast and Furious DLC. They kind of exaggerated it in that game, but at least they made a start on it. All they need to do now is implement it into Motorsport 8, and perhaps ease down the power a little bit just to make it a little more realistic. Secondly, we'll need a couple more wide bodies, not just branded ones, but Forza ones too. Motorsport 7 Forza Edition cars had this crazy wide body kit, and it'll be amazing to have these as customization options in the next game. Let's be honest, although some of these look absolutely crazy, Forza can make some pretty cool wide bodies. And I'd love to see Forza cook up some new wide bodies for some other new cars in the game, which would be very, very interesting. The final option I would like is colored tire smoke. Now, I'm not a fan of colored tire smoke with street or circuit racing. Whenever I play GTA, I never put tire smoke onto my car. However, tire smoke would be ideal for drifting, and if you don't know anything about Forza Motorsport, drifting is huge in that game. It's what the majority of players have that game for. Don't get me wrong, the thick white tire smoke in Motorsport 7 is really, really cool, but imagine how cool it would be tandeming in a pack with colored tire smoke mixing with the air, just producing some crazy colors in general. That could make for some interesting drift team battles as well. It'd be pretty funny having a Crip and Blood drift team with blue and red smoke in the skies. Don't you think so too? Oh, you don't? Well, then you're a little bit weird, aren't you? Progressing in motorsport is something Forza really need to work on. We keep constantly get given these decent cars to start with, and although we should be generous for this, they gift us with supercars and expensive race cars too. If you're a beginner racer, you may start in a Golf R, but you don't get given a Le Mans Nissan GTR with that too. You start slow and build up to faster cars. In Motorsport 7, our starter cars were these huge V8 cars that would cost tens of thousands of pounds in real life. We don't want that. I know I'm into this game a lot, but Forza really need to be looking at Gran Turismo 6 and their system of progression. In Gran Turismo 6, do you know what car you start off with? A 1.5 litre Honda Jazz. Not a 5 litre Mustang, a front wheel drive Honda with a tiny engine. Gran Turismo 5, you're given a very, very small budget of 20,000 credits to buy whatever car you want. Not just that, but you can even hop into the used car dealership to purchase a used car such as a Toyota Chaser. Honestly, Forza need to adopt this progression system, as it could really genuinely improve their games massively. For Forza to nail progression, I think we should all start racing in go-karts and then progress onto road cars, then sports cars, then then supercars, hypercars, and eventually go on to race cars. Gran Turismo did this with their multiple go-karts, including Ayrton Senna's kart. This would be a career system where you do races in karts to acquire different licenses, then progress onto bigger, better, and faster cars to get the required license and eventually race in race cars. I think a system like that would be perfect for the next game. Let me know what you think of that system in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your ideas for the progression on the next motorsport game. Along with good progression, to make a really good game, you need to have some new features in that game too. One feature we really need is rolling starts. This should be for every single track, not just the ovals. I think rolling starts could be very nice in Motorsport 8. Another feature I would like is launch control. In Motorsport 7 we got a whole drag racing update, yet we never got launch control. Not just that, but in the Doritos car pack, we're shown a Jeep Cherokee track walk and what sounds like launch control. However, we're not given this in the actual game for some reason, so perhaps having a setting where you could install launch control in your car and set it at a certain RPM could be a pretty good feature. So when you initiate launch control stationary, your car revs to a certain RPM. So yeah, I think Forza should think of a way of implementing launch control for their next game, as it is really fun and could be really good for online races and drag races. Another feature that could be really fun in the next motorsport game is starting races in the pits or in a car park. Whenever you start a race, you always magically just end up on the grid, but this is very inaccurate. If you actually do go onto a racetrack, you either start in the pits or go to a car park. One thing I love about Assetto Corsa is that when you race online on the tourist track of the Nürburgring, you start in the car park where the Nordschleife racers meet up. Then you and the other online racers go through a toll type barrier, then through a narrow road, followed by a chicane that starts the race. I love this as it actually makes you feel like you're part of the experience and you're experiencing the track together with your online friends. Not just that, but you can even do donuts and drifts in the parking lot when you're bored. Everybody has their own parking space and everything is just so sociable and fun. It really makes you feel involved with the track, and it's one of the reasons I always play Assetto Corsa. As well as these new features, one old feature from games such as Horizon 3 and 4 that needs to be included into Motorsport is the shopping basket. A small feature that changed Horizon's future. Instead of blasting all your money on certain mods to realize you don't like it, the last two Horizon games had this shopping basket feature. Here you could try on certain mods, see how it looks or how it affects the performance of your car. If you're happy with it, you could decide to pay. If you're not satisfied, you can either change up certain mods and the price will either go up or down depending on the changes. Or you could revert the car back to stock, a very simple yet revolutionary change that was never introduced into future motorsport games, which I never really understood. So yep, launch control starting from the pits, rolling starts, and the shopping basket would be ideal for Motorsport 8. So the vibe of Motorsport 8. The vibe and feeling of the game is very important. I wasn't a big fan of the vibe of Motorsport 7. I wasn't really a big fan of the vibe of Motorsport 7 as everything seemed so dirty and dark, and the rock music. I mean, some people would like this kind of feeling of Motorsport, but I was not a big fan of it, and I know that quite a few of you guys weren't as well. Motorsport 6 didn't really have a great vibe either. The fact that everything was white and the music that was playing in the background made you feel like you were in the science lab. Motorsport 5 had a decent vibe, but it was still kind of eerie. So yes, I've mentioned this a million times already, but Forza need to take a leaf out of Gran Turismo's book yet again. Back on PlayStation 3, you can download music and choose what music you want to play in the menu, which is actually really awesome. Even though Gran Turismo's soundtrack was really well done, who doesn't love a bit of Meek Mill playing in the background instead? So I think Forza should team up with Spotify or some other music playing subscription thing to make this possible for the next Motorsport game. This is how it will help Spotify sales go up, and it will also benefit Forza and the devs at the same time. So it's a win-win for everybody apart from our bank accounts. But this doesn't solve the problem of the eerie background. So instead of our cars being trapped in this dark shed with a backdrop for the next game, I think Forza should either keep their car outside with aesthetically pleasing lighting to make the car's paint glisten, or they could play highlights from the replay of the last race you did in the game. That way, instead of having a predictable backdrop every time you log into the game, you could watch your amazing drifts and wall taps from your last replay. Amazing thinking, eh? Anyways, that's the end of the video. Hope you did enjoy. If I missed out on anything in the video, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. If you suggest something really epic, I might even pin your comment. Ooh, exposure on that. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, have a good one, guys. Cheers. Sie pudert sich die Nase, ich pop eine Zanny. Checke frische Nudes auf meinem Handy. Rocke Gucci, Prada, Louis, Fendi. Pferdemädchen lesen gerne Wendy.